The click of the camera used to be my favorite sound. It meant I was capturing something beautiful, freezing a moment in time. Now, the only sound I really heard was the rhythmic breathing of my son, Leo, in the nursery. 34 years old, and my world had shrunk to 4 walls and a baby monitor. I was a damn cliché, the artist turned full-time dad. Only the art was gone, and the dad part felt hollow. This house, our house, was supposed to be a haven. The sprawling terrace where Serena and I used to drink coffee, sketching out our future. The rose garden I'd painstakingly cultivated, each bloom a testament to our growing love. Now? It felt like a stage set for a play I didn't want to be in. The emptiness was deafening. I remember bringing Leo home from the hospital. The tiny bundle felt like a miracle. I'd imagined Serena's eyes shining, overflowing with the same awe I felt. Instead, she barely glanced at him. "He's small," she said, her voice flat. "I'm not good with babies. You know that, right?" The words were like a punch to the gut. Not good with babies? This was our baby, the baby we'd both wanted. It wasn't just the baby. Serena had changed. She'd always been ambitious, driven in her career as a lawyer, but now it felt like she was running away. Late nights at the office became the norm. Her face, once radiant, was always tight with fatigue. The conversations we used to have, the easy laughter, had vanished, replaced by clipped responses and a haunted look in her eyes. One night, as I rocked Leo, trying to quiet his cries, I couldn't take it anymore. "Serena, we need to talk," I said, my voice trembling. This distance, it's not just about the baby." She sighed, her gaze fixed on the wall, anywhere but on me. "Ethan, don't start. I'm exhausted. Work is a nightmare. I can't handle another lecture." Lecture? Was that what she thought this was? Lecture? "Serena, look at us. At our family. You're a mother now, and I feel like I'm doing this all alone." She finally turned to me, her eyes cold, distant. "What do you want from me, Ethan? A parade? I'm here. I'm working. I'm providing. What more do you want?" Each word felt like a shard of ice piercing my skin. "I want you, Serena. The woman I married. The woman who promised to be by my side, not some shadow haunting this house." She stood up abruptly, her frustration palpable. "I can't deal with this right now. I'm not the enemy, Ethan. Maybe you're the one who changed." She stormed off, leaving me alone with Leo and the gnawing fear that she was right. Maybe I had changed. Maybe I wasn't enough for her anymore. The next few weeks were a blur of sleepless nights, endless diaper changes, and the constant, suffocating feeling that my marriage was crumbling around me. Serena retreated further into herself, building walls I couldn't seem to break down. Then came the late nights, the familiar scent of a perfume I didn't recognize lingering on her clothes, the hushed phone calls she took in the other room. It was all starting to feel sickeningly familiar, like reliving a nightmare. Before Leo, there had been another time, a year we both tried desperately to forget, a year when I discovered Serena had been having an affair. We'd supposedly worked through it, gone to therapy, rebuilt trust, or so I thought. Now, the same warning signs were flashing, and I was terrified. One evening, as I spooned pureed carrots into Leo's drooling mouth, Serena walked in, her face drawn. "Late again," I said, trying to keep the accusation out of my voice. She just grunted, tossing her keys on the table. "Work was hell. You wouldn't understand. Wouldn't understand? Serena, I used to work 18-hour days in the studio. I get deadlines. I get pressure. But this is different." "You're different," she scoffed, adjusting her blazer with a sharp movement. "Different how?" "Because I'm trying to provide for this family? Because I'm not jumping for joy every minute of every day?" I bit back a retort, choosing my words carefully. "It's not about providing, Serena. It's about being present. You barely look at Leo. You barely talk to me. It's like you're here, but you're not." She glared at me, her eyes hard. What do you want from me, Ethan? I'm working my ass off every day, coming home to this, she gestured vaguely around the room, and all I get are complaints. Complaints? Is that what you think this is? Serena, I'm worried about us. About you. I see how you avoid us. How you're pulling away. It reminds me. I trailed off, the memories flooding back. The secrecy, the lies, the gut-wrenching betrayal. Her face tightened, her jaw clenching. Before? You're bringing that up again? I thought we were past that, Ethan. I thought we agreed to leave that behind. I held Leo closer, his small warmth a stark contrast to the ice forming between us. Leave it behind? How can I, Serena, when you're acting just like you did back then? Late nights, the distance, the silence. It's all too familiar. She threw up her hands, frustration radiating off her. So, what? You think I'm cheating again? Is that it? You think I haven't changed? The question hung in the air, heavy and unwelcome. I don't know, Serena. I don't know what to think. All I know is that something's not right, and it's tearing us apart. She ran a hand through her hair, a telltale sign of stress. Tearing us apart? Maybe it's your constant accusations. Ever thought of that? Maybe it's you who's not letting us move forward. And just like that, she left the room, leaving behind a silence that was louder than any argument. It was just another mundane afternoon, the kind where the sun streams through the window, highlighting the dust motes dancing in the air. Leo was napping, and I was trying to lose myself in editing photos from a recent shoot, anything to escape the growing dread in my gut. Then my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Ethan, you don't know me, but I think it's time you did. Serena has been living a double life, and I'm the other man. My heart stopped. This had to be a prank. A sick joke. But then I saw the attached pictures. Serena! Not just with this man, a guy with a smug look and eyes that screamed entitlement, but with children. 3 of them, each one bearing a disturbing resemblance to my wife. I was still reeling, the phone shaking in my hand, when Serena walked in. Earlier than usual. Back so soon? I managed to say, my voice a strangled whisper. She shrugged, clearly oblivious to the storm raging inside me. Yeah, things were slow at the office. I held up my phone, the picture of her with that man and the children filling the screen. Slow? Is this how you kill time? Her face went white, the mask of indifference crumbling in an instant. Ethan, what? Where did you get this? The words felt heavy, each one a stone sinking in the pit of my stomach. From him, Serena, your other man. She tried to grab the phone, but I pulled away, my eyes never leaving hers. So, it's true then? The late nights, the distance. It wasn't just work, it was them. Serena sank into a chair, her facade shattered. Ethan, listen, it's not what you think. I laughed, a hollow, broken sound that echoed in the silence. Not what I think? Serena, the pictures don't lie. You have a whole other family. How long? How long have you been lying to me? She buried her face in her hands, a defeated figure. A few years. It started small. I didn't mean for it to go this far. A few years. The words hung in the air, a testament to the lie my life had become. And the children, Serena? Are they yours? She didn't answer, but she didn't need to. The truth was right there in the silence, in the photos, in the years of deceit. You need to leave, Serena, I said, my voice steady despite the chaos inside. Now, and with that, she left, the sound of the closing door marking the end of our story. I sat there alone, holding Leo, the only real thing in the mess. That was my life. Just when I thought I'd hit rock bottom, life decided to dig a little deeper. I was in the middle of a feeding session with Leo, the formula dribbling down his chin, when the doorbell rang, slicing through the fragile quiet of the afternoon. Expecting maybe a delivery or a neighbor, I was completely unprepared for what I saw. Serena, looking sheepish and utterly pathetic. and standing next to her, that smug bastard from the photos. He looked even more arrogant in person, a predator assessing his territory. Before I could even react, he pushed past me into the house, his eyes roaming, taking in every detail of the home I'd poured my heart into. "This is quite the place you've got here, Ethan," he said, his voice dripping with a mix of mockery and entitlement. "Cozy and spacious. Perfect for a family, don't you think, Serena?" Serena didn't meet my gaze. Her shame was evident, but she remained silent. I clenched my jaw, trying to keep my composure in the face of this unbelievable intrusion. And what family would that be? Because the last time I checked, this was my home. He smirked, a calculated glint in his eye. "Well, the family Serena should have been with all along. Me and our 3 kids. You see, we need this house more than you do. A big, beautiful house for a big family. You understand, right?" The audacity. It struck a nerve so deep, I felt a tremor of rage course through me. "Understand? I understand perfectly. You're delusional if you think you can just barge in here and lay claim to what's mine. Serena has no right to this house, and neither do you." Serena finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "Ethan, maybe we should discuss this." "Discuss?" I snapped, my patience wearing thinner than a razor's edge. "You think after everything, we're just going to sit down and have a chat about you handing over my house to your lover and your other children?" The man, whose name I later learned was Marcus, paced around, his eyes scanning the room like a hawk. "Look, Ethan, it's simple. You've got 1 kid. A small apartment will do. We've got 3. We need the space. It's only fair." Fair. The word echoed in my mind. A cruel joke in the face of everything that was happening. Fair? You want to talk about fair? There's nothing fair about betrayal, about lies, about breaking a family. You have no idea what fair is. He turned to Serena, seeking affirmation. "Tell him, Serena. Tell him we'll be moving in. He's got a week to clear out." Serena avoided my gaze. Her shoulders slumped, the picture of defeat and cowardice. "Ethan, I don't know what to say." The standoff was tense, the air thick with unsaid words and unspoken threats. But as they left, Marcus throwing a spiteful glance over his shoulder and Serena not even daring to look back, I knew this was far from over. After the door slammed shut behind Serena and Marcus, I was left standing in the silence of my home, my mind racing, the nerve of them coming into my house, threatening to take everything I had. But, as the initial shock subsided, a plan began to form. A slow, burning anger replaced the fear. It was time to fight back, time to reveal the truth, time to claim what was rightfully mine. The doorbell rang, its chime echoing like the start of a showdown. There they stood, Serena, looking more defeated than ever, and Marcus, his arrogance undiminished. "Time's up, Ethan," Marcus said, his eyes gleaming with triumph. "We're here to move in. Did you pack your stuff?" I stood in the doorway, my stance firm. "Actually, I didn't pack, and you're not moving in. This house is mine, and I have the documents to prove it." Marcus's face faltered, confusion mixing with his anger. "What are you talking about? This is Serena's house, too. We have rights." I couldn't help but smirk. The tables were finally turning. "No, you see, that's where you're wrong. This house was a gift from my parents. To me. Serena's name isn't on any of the documents. She has no claim over this property." Serena shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my gaze. "Ethan, I thought we could work something out. Work something out? After you cheated, lied, and then tried to kick me and my son out of our home?" "I don't think so, Serena," Marcus interjected, his voice shrill with panic. "This can't be happening. You're lying." "Serena, tell him he's lying." But Serena remained silent, her eyes downcast, the truth of the situation finally dawning on her. "It's not a lie," I said, my voice steady. This house is mine, and you have no legal right to be here. So, I suggest you leave before I call the police." Marcus's eyes darted to Serena, seeking confirmation or maybe denial. But Serena stood silent, her head hung low, the truth too heavy to bear. "But we have a family. We need this house. You can't just throw us out," he protested, his voice tinged with desperation. "The only thing I'm throwing out is the lies," I countered. "And while we're at it, let's talk about Serena's job, shall we? She's not the high-flying executive you think she is. She's a clerk, a simple office worker. Your dreams of a lavish life in this house are just that, dreams." The revelation hit him like a physical blow, his face contorting with rage and disbelief. "A clerk? You're lying!" "Serena, tell him he's lying." Serena, however, remained silent, her shoulders slumped in defeat. The charade was over, the truth laid bare for all to see. You've been living in a fantasy, fed by Serena's lies. "But it ends now," I declared, my voice firm. "You have no place here. It's time for you both to leave." The confrontation was intense, the air thick with tension and unsaid words. But as they turned to leave, Marcus's parting glance was filled with venom and vows of revenge. "This isn't the end, Ethan," he hissed, his dreams shattered by the harsh light of truth. "You'll regret this." It was a crisp morning, the kind that usually promised a peaceful start. But peace was a luxury I could no longer afford. The sound of the doorbell shattered the calm like a rock through a window. As I opened the door, my heart sank. There he stood. "Marcus!" His face twisted into a sneer. His children huddled behind him, looking lost and confused. "You've got some nerve showing up here again," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. Marcus didn't falter. "I've got every right, Ethan. These kids," he gestured to the innocent faces behind him, "they deserve a proper home." "Your home," I couldn't help but scoff. "Deserve? The only thing you deserve is a reality check. This is my house, and you're not welcome here." His sneer widened, his voice growing louder. "Oh, I'm not welcome? We'll see about that. You think you can just sit in this big, fancy house all alone with your baby while my kids suffer? You're more heartless than I thought." His words, sharp and accusing, were meant to wound. And they did. But I wasn't about to let him see that. "Heartless? I'm not the one tearing families apart, disrupting lives. You did that all on your own." The neighbor, drawn by Marcus's shrill voice, had begun to gather their whispers like a chorus in the background. He relished the audience, his theatrics reaching new heights. "Look at this, folks. Ethan here thinks he's too good to share. Thinks this palace is only for him and his baby. What about my children? Don't they deserve a home too?" I clenched my fists, fighting the urge to slam the door in his face. "Your children deserve better, that's for sure. Better than a father who uses them as pawns in his twisted games." He stepped closer, his eyes flashing with anger. "You think you can judge me, Ethan? You who had everything handed to him on a silver platter? My kids have had to fight for every little thing in their lives. And now you want to deny them a roof over their heads?" I shook my head, disbelief and anger swirling inside me. "I'm not denying them anything. Their mother, the woman you stole from me, she's the one you should be looking at. She's the one who's failed them." Marcus's face reddened, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. "Serena promised us a better life. She promised we'd have this house. Are you going to stand there and tell me those were all lies?" His words hung heavy in the air, a painful reminder of Serena's betrayal. Promises from Serena aren't worth much these days, it seems. But one thing's for sure, this house isn't part of her empty promises. It's mine, and you have no claim to it. He bristled, his composure slipping. "I'm not leaving, Ethan. Not until you do right by these kids. I'll camp out here if I have to. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of cold-hearted bastard lives in this mansion." I stared at him, the absurdity of the situation hitting me full force. "You're going to camp out on my property?" "I don't think so. This is your last warning. Leave now, or I'll call the police." His eyes darted around at the gathered neighbors, serving as his audience. But the resolve in my voice must have hit a nerve. He gathered his children, his parting shot a venomous glare. This isn't over, Ethan. You think you've won, but you've just started a war. The drama of the previous week still hung heavy in my home, like a storm cloud refusing to move on. I was exhausted, emotionally drained. Then, the doorbell rang again, bringing a chapter I thought I had closed. There she was, Serena, standing on my doorstep, her face a mixture of regret and desperation. The sight of her, after everything, sparked a fury I hadn't known I possessed. "What are you doing here, Serena? Haven't you done enough?" I spat, my words sharp and unforgiving. She looked down, her hands fidgeting nervously. "Ethan, I need to talk to you." "It's important." I crossed my arms, my stance unyielding. "Talk? After you tried to take my home? After all the lies? You must be kidding." She swallowed hard, a woman grasping at straws. "Please, Ethan. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. I see that now. I was wrong. So wrong." I couldn't help but laugh, the sound bitter and hollow. "A mistake? Is that what you call it? You destroyed our family, Serena. You chose him. Chose that life. And now you're here. What? Asking for forgiveness?" Her eyes met mine, a glimmer of the woman I once knew flickering in their depths. "Not just forgiveness, Ethan. I want to come back. I want to make things right. For you. For our son." The audacity of her request left me speechless. How could she stand there, asking for a second chance, as if she could erase the past with a few words? "You want to come back? After everything? You think you can just walk back into our lives like nothing happened?" I asked, my voice rising with every word. She nodded, a desperate woman clinging to a lifeline. "Yes, Ethan. I know I don't deserve it, but I want to try. I'll do anything, everything to make it up to you, to our son." I shook my head, the finality of my decision clear in my mind. "It's too late, Serena. You made your choice, and now you have to live with it. We are moving on without you." Her shoulders slumped, defeat etched into every line of her face. "Ethan, please don't do this. Think of our son. He needs his mother." I felt a pang of pain in my heart, for the life we could have had, for the family that was broken beyond repair. He needed his mother. "And where were you? With him? With them?" "You're not the woman we need, Serena. It's time you realized that." She stood there for a moment longer, a woman lost in the ruins of her own making. Then, without another word, she turned and walked away, her figure disappearing into the night. The final pieces of my old life had fallen away, leaving space for something new, something mine. The divorce papers were signed. Serena was now just a person from my past, a shadow that no longer darkened my door. She was ordered to pay child support for Leo, a small measure of justice in the grand scheme of things. Sitting in my quiet living room, I reflected on the tumultuous journey. The phone buzzed, breaking the silence. It was Luke, an old friend. His voice carried the latest gossip. "Hey, Ethan, you won't believe this. Serena and Marcus are crammed into a tiny apartment. Word is, they do nothing but fight day in and day out." I couldn't help but feel a twinge of vindication. "Well, can't say I'm surprised. You reap what you sow, right?" Luke chuckled. "True that. How are you holding up, though? All this must be tough." I took a sip of my tea, its warmth comforting. "It's been a ride, Luke, but I'm getting there. Each day feels a bit lighter, a bit more mine. You're the strongest person I know, Ethan. And hey, if you need anything, I'm just a call away, all right?" His words were a balm, soothing the lingering sting of the past. "Thanks, Luke. I really appreciate it." The conversation drifted to lighter topics, the normalcy a welcome change. After hanging up, I gazed around the room. This was my space, my sanctuary. The battles fought within these walls had left scars, but they were healing, turning into stories of strength and resilience. I picked up my camera, an old friend I had neglected. The weight of it in my hands felt right. I snapped a few pictures of the room, of Leo's toys, of the life that was slowly piecing itself back together. Each click of the shutter was a declaration, a statement that while the past was a part of me, it didn't define me. As I put Leo to bed that night, his tiny hand clutching my finger, I whispered promises of a future bright and unburdened. Outside, the stars twinkled, a vast canvas of possibilities stretching out before us. Serena and Marcus were just a chapter closed, a lesson learned. Our story, the one that truly mattered, was just beginning, and it was going to be a beautiful one. This rewrite focuses on building the emotional tension and highlighting the inner turmoil Ethan experiences. The dialogue is designed to feel more raw and immediate, and I've added internal monologues to draw the reader deeper into his perspective. Let me know if you want me to tweak anything or expand on any particular section. The quiet days settled into a rhythm, a soothing balm on the raw wounds of the past. Leo was growing, his laughter filling the house with a warmth I hadn't felt in years. I found myself picking up my camera again, tentatively at first, capturing the simple beauty of Leo's tiny hands, the way the sunlight streamed through the kitchen window. But the past, like a stubborn ghost, refused to stay completely buried. One afternoon, a letter arrived. Official looking. It was from Serena's lawyer. My heart clenched. What now? The letter was brief. Serena was requesting a modification to the child support agreement. Citing a change in circumstances, she claimed she could no longer afford the current payments. Rage flared. After everything, she was still trying to screw me over. Was there no end to her selfishness? I called my lawyer, Sarah, a no-nonsense woman with a sharp wit and an even sharper legal mind. Ethan, I wouldn't worry too much, she said after I'd ranted for a good 5 minutes. These things are standard procedure. We'll fight it. What exactly is her change in circumstances? I don't know, I said, my voice tight. The letter doesn't specify. But knowing Serena, it's probably some sob story to get out of paying her responsibilities. We'll dig into it. Don't let it get to you. She can request whatever she wants, but it doesn't mean she'll get it. Sarah's words were reassuring, but the seed of anxiety had been planted. A few weeks later, we were in court. Serena was there, looking gaunt and tired. Marcus was nowhere to be seen. Miss Hayes, please explain to the court why you are seeking a modification to the child support agreement, the judge said, his voice calm but firm. Serena stepped forward, her voice barely above a whisper. Your Honor, I've lost my job, and I'm struggling to find new employment. My jaw dropped. Lost her job? Was this true? Or just another manipulation? Sarah, ever vigilant, cross-examined her. Miss Hayes, can you elaborate on the circumstances of your job loss? Serena hesitated. The firm, they downsized. I was one of the people let go. Sarah pressed further. And have you been actively seeking employment since then? Serena's voice trembled slightly. Yes, I've applied for several positions. But it's been difficult. Something about her demeanor felt off. Too rehearsed, too pathetic. Later that day, Sarah called me. Ethan, I've got something. Serena didn't just lose her job. She was fired for misconduct. I'm still digging into the details, but it looks like it involves some shady dealings with client funds. My blood ran cold. Serena, a lawyer engaging in financial misconduct? It was almost unbelievable. But then again, nothing she did surprised me anymore. The information changed everything. We presented the evidence to the court. Serena's credibility was shattered. The judge denied her request for a modification of the child support agreement. Walking out of the courthouse, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Relief, of course, but also a deep sadness. Serena was destroying herself, and Leo would eventually have to know the truth about his mother. Despite the lingering drama, life was slowly getting better. I was starting to find my footing as a single parent, and, to my surprise, I was rediscovering my passion for photography. I started taking pictures again, not just of Leo, but of the world around me. The vibrant colors of the sunrise, the intricate patterns of frost on the window pane, the weathered faces of the people I encountered. I even started posting my work online, hesitant at first, afraid of judgment, but the response was overwhelming. People connected with my images, with the raw emotion I poured into them. One day, I received an email from a local gallery owner. She'd seen my work online and was interested in showcasing it in an upcoming exhibition. My heart soared. This was it, a chance to reclaim my career, to show the world what I was capable of. I threw myself into preparing for the exhibition, selecting the images, framing them, writing the artist statement. It was exhausting, exhilarating, and terrifying all at the same time. As the opening night approached, my anxiety grew. Would anyone come? Would they like my work? Would Serena show up and try to ruin everything? But when the night finally arrived, the gallery was packed. Friends, family, strangers, all gathered to celebrate my work. The energy in the room was electric. I saw Sarah, Luke, even a few of the neighbors who had witnessed the drama with Marcus. They were all there to support me. And then I saw her, standing near the back of the room. Her eyes were hesitant, but a warm glow emanated from her. She was beautiful. Her name was Olivia. She was a painter with a kind smile and eyes that seemed to see right through me. We started talking, and I quickly realized we shared a connection. A passion for art, a love of beauty, and a deep understanding of the challenges of life. She was also a single mother, raising a daughter named Maya. We talked about our children, our struggles, our dreams. As the night wore on, I felt a warmth spread through me, a sense of hope I hadn't felt in years. Olivia became a regular part of our lives. She and Maya would come over for dinner. We'd go to the park together. We'd share stories and laughter. Leo adored her. He loved playing with Maya, and he seemed to sense that Olivia brought a sense of peace and stability to our home. I was falling in love, slowly, cautiously, but undeniably. Olivia was kind, compassionate, and incredibly talented. She saw me, the real me, the artist who had been buried beneath the weight of heartbreak and responsibility. One evening, after putting the kids to bed, Olivia and I were sitting on the terrace, the stars twinkling above us. "Ethan," she said softly, taking my hand, I care about you a lot. And I care about Leo. I know you've been through a lot, and I don't want to rush things, but I can't deny how I feel." I looked into her eyes, saw the love and sincerity reflected there. "Olivia, I feel the same way. I've been afraid to let myself feel it, afraid of getting hurt again. But being with you, it feels right. It feels like coming home." We kissed, a gentle, tender kiss that sealed our connection. A few months later, Olivia and Maya moved in. The house, once filled with emptiness and sorrow, was now overflowing with love and laughter. We were a family, a blended family, a messy family, but a family nonetheless. I still thought about Serena sometimes. I wondered what had become of her. I hoped, for Leo's sake, that she would eventually find her way back to some semblance of stability. But I couldn't dwell on the past. I had a new life to build, a new future to embrace. One sunny afternoon, Olivia, Leo, Maya, and I were in the rose garden planting new blooms. The air was filled with the scent of roses and the sound of children's laughter. I looked around at my family, at the love that surrounded me, and I knew I had finally found peace. The camera clicked, capturing the moment, freezing it in time. This time, the sound was music to my ears. It was the sound of a new beginning, the sound of hope, the sound of love, the sound of a life reborn.